recruiting series. I'm here today with Tarkan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So today we're going to be talking about so you were not recruited to play for the U's basketball team. You were actually a walk-on. So we're going to be talking about that. So before you arrived at BU, did you talk to any other colleges about recruiting, or did you just go for academics?
Yeah, so for beginning of the senior year, I was talking to a few schools. They were mostly D3s. Um, and at that time, I was like, I'm pretty much applying for academics everywhere, but like there's some schools that are interested. So, I'm talking to them, seeing what the process is like for them. And for D3s, you have to get into school first. Like they can't offer you a spot on the team. They can, you know, somewhat help you with admissions, but it's not guaranteed. So I visited a few of them, and then I ended up applying to them, some of them. Um, but B was always on my list, and once I got in and got results back from other schools, I kind of was like assessing the situation, talked to my high school coach who knew the coaches at BU, so got in touch with them, started talking to them, and that's how it started.
Yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit about that communication that you had with the coach? Because I know that the walk-on process can be like a little bit difficult, like when you're like, especially for a D1 team. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I reached out to the coach that he knew. Actually, first my high school coach talked to Coach Kurt here, which is one of the assistants, and then he he said to call him. So I had a phone call with him, and it was pretty much just introduction and getting to know each other. And he gave me the phone number over Dobo, and I talked to Al, and he pretty much told me I have to try out, but if I'm ever in Boston to go reach out to the guys, play with them, and see how it goes. So once I got to Boston, I had to try out once school started, and then I was on the team.
Yeah. Did you have like any in-person like visiting events? Like I know you mentioned playing with the other teammates. Like, did you do anything else? Were there like any camps that you had to attend?
No, I actually wasn't in town, so I didn't get to play with them, but that was just an opportunity I had.
Mhm.
Um, for other schools I did that were D3s, I visited a couple. I went to MIT and Haverford, and yeah, I went to a basketball camp, and then there was like a student athlete like orientation day for Haverford. So they pretty much toured me around campus
Mhm.
and told me about the classes and all that.
What was the most challenging part of like the recruiting process that you went through with D3 schools and then also being a walk-on at a D1 school?
I'd say about D3s, it was mostly like I wasn't sure if I was gonna get in, so I didn't really have that reassurance of I'll be fine. Like it's not guaranteed. So that's what happened with MIT. That was my top choice. I ended up not getting in, so I wasn't able to attend. But like Vassar, I got in. I just didn't want to go. Um, wasn't the location for me. For D1s, I'd say BU. I got in, and I wasn't really at that point. I wasn't really thinking about basketball for BU. I didn't really know much about it. This was early March, like mid March, something like that, and I was like just considering all the options. Um, I'd say the frustrating part about BU was, you're in contact with coaches, but you don't know if you'll be on the team until you actually try out, and like a week after, if they have a spot. Um, and other people try out too, so you always wonder like I only have one shot, one day, maybe like an hour of tryout, so maybe it's your bad day. You never know. Someone else looks better. So the uncertainty is definitely there, but at the end of the day, it paid off.
Yeah, I'm sure that uncertainty going into like all of this was probably stressful. Like not knowing whether or not you were going to make it was probably stressful. And was there anything like different that you wish you could have done throughout like either walk-on process or recruiting for D3 schools?
Um, I wish I stayed in touch with coaches more. I'd say, first of all, I should have probably reached out to them earlier instead of, waiting to get recruited. I wasn't really familiar with the situation. There's a lot of just it's really vague. Like you see all these people like, oh, like you get an offer out of nowhere. Like that's how you expect it to happen. And that's not the case. You should probably just, especially if you're not like a top 100 recruit in the country, you should reach out if that's your goal and just put your name out there. Just try to get recognized. Um, so that's definitely a regret I had. But I wouldn't say a regret. It's just something I could have done more.
Mhm.
I definitely visited enough schools where I should have had the chance to go. Um, I'd say that's probably it. Just like
Yeah.
being in touch with people.
Mhm. Yeah, I know especially right now with the pandemic and
Yeah.
like compete like high schools aren't really able to compete in person. Like maintaining relationships with coaches right now is especially important. Would you have any advice for the students that are trying to go through that recruiting process now who might not be able to show off their athletic skills in their senior year, their junior year right now? Would you have any advice for them?
Yeah, if it's really your goal, I'd say just reach out to as many people as you can because coaching is still recruiting. I mean, people graduate, people transfer, so there's still a need for players. It's not like it just disappeared because you don't play your senior year. Um, just whatever film you have, get in contact with whoever you can. Just email whoever you can. I mean, they might not necessarily get back to you, but you still, at least tried. You never know what's going to happen. Um, and maybe do a post grad year if that's the case. If you can play, like if you don't get what you want at the end of the day, the ball stops bouncing someday for all of us. So it's not the end of the day if you don't, play basketball somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, but you can always walk on. You can always go to school, get an academically first, and then try out. Get on the team, and then once you're on the team, like you're on the team. Doesn't matter if you're on scholarship or not. You
Mhm.
still have a chance to play. You might have to work harder, but you still have the opportunity. So you get there, it just opens the door, and you're there.
Yeah, would you have like any advice for the student athletes who are going towards that walk-on route and don't have that certainty of necessarily making the team?
Just keep working hard, and be nice to the coaches. Be persistent. They like to see that you're engaged. Don't just don't call them every day, but they're busy people. But reach out as much as possible. Just get in touch with the players. The players really help. Um, I'm when I got here, I talked to a few of the players, and they try to guide you as much as they can. Obviously, they can't just take you on the team, but they can talk to the coaches if you have a good relationship. That definitely gives you an edge. It's all about who you know, so just try to meet people, get your name out there.
Yeah, no, that's important for like so many different fields, but especially with recruiting. It's so important right now to be building relationships. But that's all the questions that I had. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.